There was a time when I was actually putting ambition ahead of my relationship, doing the things I wanted to do and only thinking about myself. And now we've sort of evolved into a situation where we are each other's priority, and then everything else that could happen is a bonus.
Hello and welcome to Separate Bathrooms. I am Brahe-Daddo.
And I'm her husband, Cameron Daddo.
Do you know, it's every episode you go, this is my wife, and now you introduce yourself as a husband. That's very nice. I like that you label that we're not
equal.
Just good friends. I mean, we could be brother and sister, I guess.
No.
With the same last name. With the same last name.
Oh, I guess if people didn't know.
Yeah, if people didn't know.
I'd hope that they would assume that we were married, not brother and sister.
Yeah, true that. Well, why not? Brother and sister can have a great podcast.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah.
Me and my sister Belinda.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She is awesome.
But anyway,
I'm married to you, honey, and this
Yes.
is about relationships.
It's about relationships, exactly.
Partnerships, as in marriage or however you want to define your
Yeah.
partnership with your significant other.
Yep. Today we have Jen Hansen and Alan Fletcher with us.
Jen Hansen is the More Music breakfast show host in Melbourne, and Alan Fletcher has been on an iconic TV show for close to 30 years, Home and Away.
Haha.
Neighbours.
Neighbours. Yeah,
Neighbours.
you would know him as Dr. Carl Kennedy. So we're going to find out about a little bit of the history of Neighbours with Alan and just the two of them together, how they celebrate their lives together with their two children, Veronica and Tom.
So let's bring Jen and Alan into the bathroom. Welcome, Jen and Alan, into the bathroom. How you guys doing?
Great, thank you.
Excellent.
We can't actually see you because you're in your studio and we're in our studio. Masks are on
Yeah, so we're flying blind. You guys could be naked talking to us.
because
Only
we
half
are.
naked, actually.
No, we're in Melbourne. We're in puffer jackets.
Right. I heard it called the Melbourne tuxedo as a black puffer jacket.
They're everywhere. It's the uniform.
Yeah.
Well, they're very-
With as long as you have to have exercise gear under the puffer jacket.
Right,
Yeah.
right. They are
Active wear.
cozy though, aren't they?
Now,
They're beautiful.
You guys met a long time ago. Take us, I was going to say it was 1986, is that correct?
It was around there, yeah.
There you go.
It was.
It was.
How was it that you met? And was it love at first sight?
It was lust at first sight.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jen and I actually knew each other through mutual friends,
Yeah.
so we knew of each other. And I was out. My first marriage had ended, and I was a bit, disconsolate about the fact that the prospects of ever meeting somebody again. And I was out with one of Jen's best friends, in fact, a housemate, and he rang her and said, come up and join us. And you can take it from there, Mick.
Well, I wasn't going to because I was at another party and then that got boring, so I dropped over. And so I said to our friend Boris, so, now I'm single again. Have you got any friends for me? And he said, what about Fletch? And I looked over and went, he's cute. But in fact, I had met him earlier. There was one story where, because Al used to take headshots of other actors for portfolios, when I was trying to get into TV, I needed a headshot and I'd booked him. And then a photographer at work said he'd take the photo for free, and I forgot to cancel Fletch, and he turned up on the doorstep, and I said, oh, no, I don't need you anymore, and I sent him away.
Oh, you gave me a cup of coffee I sent to room.
Yeah,
yeah. Interesting.
Take your camera and get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah.
So
got dumped.
how long before you guys were married? How long did you date?
We would
It
about
was
4
on
years.
and off for a little bit.
For 3.5
because
years.
You
Okay.
went to. I went on an overseas holiday, and then Fletch went to work in Perth for 3 months. So we had a few sort of breaks, and then we moved in together. And I think I did set some ground rules though before we moved in.
Tell us.
Yeah, I was
What
going to
was- yeah,
say.
come on.
Alluding to something.
I think I'd heard too many stories about couples who'd lived together for 10 years, then the girl gets dumped and the guy goes off and marries someone in 2 months.
Yep.
So I said, okay, I'm happy to live together, but here's the long-term picture. I would imagine we would probably get married, or at least there'd be a proposal within a year and a half if it's going somewhere.
Right.
So I sort of gave him a bit of an 18-month rough deadline.
How did you feel about that, Alan? Did you feel pressured, or were you like, absolutely, this is going to happen?
No, I didn't feel pressured because actually I'd been on a trip to Sri Lanka with some pals of mine, and while I was there, we were staying with a gem dealer, and he helped me buy a sapphire, which I always had in my head was going to be for our engagement ring. And so I'd been carting this sapphire around for a considerable amount of time, knowing full well that at some stage I would be proposing. But I wanted to save it up for some special time, so we actually went on a trip to Bali because it was 3 weeks. And
Well, that was your test for me. You wanted to
Yeah.
see if I could rough it.
well, it was more.
It wasn't a luxury Balinese trip.
No,
was it?
we didn't have
Okay.
any money back then. So
No, we didn't have any dosh, and so it was pretty cheap and
Basic.
cheerful, and and also it was the first time we'd spent that much time together. You know, with obviously work and everything, you've got distractions and get away from your partner. And this was we were just 24/7, and it was fabulous. And so I proposed on the last day of that trip.
So I passed the test.
With the ring or with the sapphire, did you actually have it made into a ring?
No.
Oh, okay.
Wait until we got
Jen
back.
actually had the opportunity to help design the ring.
Oh, nice. And that's your wedding ring now, or the engagement ring?
No,
we've updated.
We've updated since.
They made some money, honey.
I still have it, and
Yeah,
I
of
love
course.
it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So that was fantastic. But I did know he was going to propose because, you know, as I said, we were travelling on a budget, and when a bottle of Moet came to the table, and do you know how much that costs in Bali?
Yeah.
I was like,
$3,000.
something's coming.
Did you have the sapphire with you, or did you just sort of like slide the rock over?
No, when you're travelling in that sort of circumstance, you're not going to go away
Yeah, you
with
have to hide it in weird orifices otherwise.
precious gems. Yes.
Now that was back in '89. Fletch, you were on Neighbours at that point.
I'd just done 3 weeks. I didn't join Neighbours as Dr. Carl until '94.
No, he was
Okay.
Greg the mechanic originally.
I only did a little
Right.
3-week stint. I was working at the Melbourne Theatre Company on a 3-year deal there, and Jen loved it because she would come in after she'd been doing news work.
I did late news, and I'd go back to the theatre.
And she'd go to the theatre, and we'd party at night, and they were great days. We had a wonderful, wonderful cohort of actors that Jen loved to hang out with.
Right.
It was a really beautiful time actually. And then in 1990, when we got married, I started on a show called Embassy.
Oh, okay. I remember you on that.
Yeah, it was a long time.
Yeah.
We did 3 seasons,
Yep.
and
That was when I was pregnant with Veronica that you got the job on Neighbours, and that was a gift, and my mother was thrilled because I think, originally it was like, what, marrying an actor? And then
she loves Neighbours. Jen's mum loves
was
Neighbours so
thrilled.
much. She was over the moon.
Yeah.
And she would not have known that you would soon become the third longest serving actor in Australian television history, behind Ray Maher and Lynn McGranger on Home and Away.
Indeed, it wasn't really on the books. It's funny how that worked out. It was like literally a 1-year contract every year. I've been on a 1-year contract for 27 years.
Oh my gosh! So
Sounds like me.
yeah, exactly. When you're creeping up to that time, how do you both feel about when you're coming up to that contract time? I know I get a little anxious.
Well, it's to be honest with you, it's I generally I have a very good relationship with the bosses, of course, and they don't play games at Neighbours. You know if they want you back, and so it's generally a very simple negotiation. But mutual agreement and so forth. It's very much a family environment there, which is really cool. It's great. We have a wonderful relationship, and it doesn't. I mean, after 27 years, Cam, I've got to say that you don't get too anxious about whether you stay or go. You sort of think if you have to move on, you move on.
Can I ask you, just going back to that 87 time, so I was doing Perfect Match at that point.
That's right,
when it was, the Kylie and Jason thing was going, Guy Pearce was in there, so you were there for 3 weeks. What was that like working with, what was it like on set? Because it was Neighbours mania back then, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it didn't invade the set at all. In fact, I had no concept of what was going on. I knew that Jason and Kylie would go off on weekends and make appearances at shopping centres.
I used to do a lot with them, actually.
Okay, there
up
you
in the
go.
Gold Coast and
Yeah. So they were doing very well from that point of view, but the on set, it was almost exactly the same as it is now. It's kind of like just, make the show, have a few laughs, So it was very chill. There was no kind of sense of stardom. In fact, there never has been at Neighbours. There's never any sense that someone who's, kind of considers themselves to be a star. It's very much the ensemble feel. And then I didn't actually even know what was going on really in the UK with Neighbours until eventually I went across and did a panto in 1999 and got a real taste of just how much they loved the show there. And then so I went on to do pantos and tours with my band and all sorts of things for a decade after that.
Were you able to join him on that, Jen?
Well, back in the day when he was playing Greg the Mechanic and working out at Nunawading, that's when I was that's when Channel 10's newsroom was out at Nunawading as well. So we actually had a couple of lunch dates in the canteen, which was fun. And I was really hoping he would stay on for longer. Then by the time he came back to Neighbours, the newsroom had moved to the Como building in South Yarra, so it was a little bit different then. But the funny thing was, I think, when I used to have to traipse out to Nunawading, which was a bit of a drive from where we lived, Fletch would say, you poor thing, driving all that way. And then the tables turned. It's like, now it's you.
Yeah, 27 years of at least 2 trips a day,
That was fun back in the day, as you were talking about, when Neighbours was in one of its heydays with Kylie and Jason, and I actually interviewed Kylie. It was her last interview before she went to the UK in sort of setting up for that success over there.
What made you choose that career, Jen?
I think just at school I was always into writing and reading and, back in the day making little shows for your tape recorder. So recording things interested me, and I think started off in newspapers, but when I'd go to press conferences and see people like Joe Hall and Tracy Grimshaw, who were to me aspirational back then when I was just a junior starting out, I thought, no, I want to actually be in front of a camera as well. And it sounded, I think, more appealing in terms of the immediacy of reporting compared to print, and also the fact that you were combining the aspects of the written word with the visual and the audio.
Yeah. You've got 2 kids, Veronica and Tom. Are they interested in being in front of the camera?
Not at all.
2 parents.
No.
Oh, really? They're the opposite.
I think they've just looked at us and said, nah.
Yeah. Our kids have done the same thing.
Yeah. Our kids look at us and go that, basically we're fantastic role models because I think they've determined that everything we do, they won't.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Yeah, so our daughter, Veronica, the oldest, is a pastry chef, and Tom's studying law at uni. So
amazing.
Very sensible professions.
Now, you've both got significant others in your work. Jen, you're now working with the fabulous Mike Perso.
Yes, I am.
For the More Music Breakfast Show on Smooth FM in Melbourne. And Alan, you've been working with Jackie Woodbine for what is it 30 years?
Yeah, Jackie and I first worked together when I did Cop Shop back in 1982 or something like that, and we just absolutely clicked.
You played brother and sister.
Brother and sister, yeah. And we absolutely clicked as people and as actors, and we work the same way. We find the same things funny and everything. So you can imagine my joy when, 14 or 12 years later, I find that she's been cast to play Susan Kennedy, and we're opposite each other because right from the very first scene, we were just so comfortable and had such a wonderful time together. And we've had 27 years on Neighbours together, and we've never had a disagreement because we work without ego, which is fantastic. It's actually kind of a model for a good marriage in a way, in the sense that we accept each other's differences and foibles. In fact, we find them amusing, but we are able to make suggestions to each other without the other person getting offended. So it just helps to make a wonderful creative partnership. And I've been blessed. I mean, Jackie's a great friend of Jen and I, and as is her partner. So it's just a wonderful relationship.
How do you work the work balance between the two of you? Because, Jen, your hours are quite early morning, right?
They are. I get up at 10 to 4, so it's changed since, the newsreading days. It's a very different start to the day, but it's good in that I get more time later in the day. I think Fletch is great with taking on more of the household stuff when I'm really busy, and then if he's busy, I'll take over. So, we're pretty good at balancing all that. Yeah,
we had to make some adjustments, of course, because, it's the biggest thing probably is the fact that when Jen's working, her work days, I sleep upstairs
that's a big change.
In the spare room because she's got to get up. She's got to go to bed at kind of 9:30 at the latest and get up at 4. And they are not my hours.
No, and I wouldn't want him waking me up when he comes to bed, and he wouldn't want me waking him up when I get up. So that has changed. And I remember when we were first married and we stayed with a couple who slept in separate bedrooms, and I thought that was just terrible and so unromantic. And I thought I'd never, ever do that. And now I love it. Only during the week, not on the weekend.
Well, I mean, this is a big conversation in our house because my gorgeous husband snores.
I do not.
That's a common problem.
Yeah, truly, and I'm sure I do too every now and again.
It's not big honking snores, though. She has recorded me, by the way, guys.
I've done that too.
Honey, you don't need to defend it. It's okay. I need to get up and teach because I work at a school, so I've got to have my brain functioning. I've got to have sleep, and so every now and again I've got to go. I don't do it every night because just sometimes once the earplugs start to irritate my inner ear, I've got.
See the details she goes into. She just wants you to know.
Well, we use earplugs as well. We've got some sleep buds.
The Bose sleep buds actually play a noise in your ear, so it blocks out the snoring, and that's been a lifesaver.
Right. Okay.
best.
I've got to look at
Bose,
those.
all right.
So, and you've just got. If I'm not sleeping well, then I'm cranky and then I'm cranky at him. So I always say it's for the marriage. It's not against the marriage that we sometimes sleep separately.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See,
I'm still convincing him.
No, it's getting better. My parents are still very happily married after coming up on 60 years of marriage. They still sleep in the same bed. They both snore like a symphony. You've got to stay at their house. It's like, I think mum's like, I know.
Yeah, they do. They cancel each other out.
They have their Bose inner ear noise-cancelling earphones, which is each other snoring. So it works quite well. So I have that expectation that that's what it's meant to be. So suddenly, if I'm being pushed, we call the separate bedroom the snoratorium. So if I'm up to the snoratorium, or if Al's up there, it's going, don't take offence, Cam, just relax. She needs the sleep. Sleep
just
is
grateful
good.
we have that room now. We didn't ever used to have it, and it was just agony.
You need it. It's interesting, though. The one thing I reckon it's done for Jen and I is that it changes the dynamic of getting a little personal, of intimacy. So we actually, I think it's actually helped us because we schedule our day so that we can actually say, this is going to be our time. We're going to actually make time for each other during the day because Jen's got the afternoon off. I'm often free. We have a date night once a week, which is really important to us.
Well, we were lucky even in lockdown, which, was very tough for a lot of people in Melbourne because it went on for so long. But we always had one night where we say to the kids, right, we need the lounge room area and the TV area, and this is our space for date night. And we made sort of the thing that you had to dress up, or there'd be a bit of a theme, whether it was a country music night or something to try and keep it interesting. And that was actually a lot of fun. And when Melbourne came out of lockdown, Fletcher's like, can't we just have a home date? And I'm like, no, I want to go out.
Going out's such a pain.
He loves his home date.
I do.
How long have you guys been doing that for? Is that something you've always had in your relationship?
I think it's more in the last 2 years we've made sure we've had a regular date once a week.
Why is that? Could you feel it getting a bit
too busy and losing touch? And we also just realised we also love our time together, and Melbourne has so many fantastic restaurants and things to do. So if you make an effort to try something new or go somewhere different, and it doesn't have to be an expensive restaurant, it can be as long. The sort of minimum rule is at least if you go somewhere that's a venue where you're doing something for at least 2 hours together. That's sort of like
and something where you can talk as well.
So that counts as a date night. So going to a movie is not so much a date night because you're not talking.
So
you have to have the communication.
Alice has got the same thing. We'll go to a movie. She goes, no, because then we're sitting in the dark facing the screen and we're not
talking.
We're not
talking.
talking.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still fun to go to the movies. I love the movies. Don't get me wrong. We're going to one tonight, but that doesn't classify as date night.
Yeah. Ali, do you play golf, Ali?
Did Cameron pay you to ask that question?
Well, I mean, what a wonderful time to spend with your hubby. Just 18 holes, trying to look around.
My shoulder.
You could get a cart together. Just think of it. You talk all the time. I cannot convince Jen to pick up a club.
Well, I've tried and I got a sore shoulder because every time I went to hit the ball, I'd hit the grass instead of the balls.
Well, that's what I was doing too,
Yeah, my fingers went numb one time because I just took that bigger divot out of it that it sends shockwaves up through my arms. I was like, this
you
game.
understand. Exactly.
Her fingers went numb because she smacked me over the back of the head to keep giving her advice you didn't want.
Well, Fletcher had a good idea. He said he might get me a really hot golfing instructor.
Okay. Okay,
Does that mean
you're onto something.
Does that mean he gets to have a hot golfing instructor?
No, these
Called
days.
Bruce, by the way.
Yeah, Bruce.
Anyway, Fletcher, I reckon you and I should get married because we are Bombers supporters and we love golf. So
there you
there's
go.
a lot to.
I'm a
lot to
Bombers
talk
supporter
about.
too.
I know.
Awesome.
You got to come and play golf, honey.
I'm not in the golf club. Sorry. But
So what hobbies do you have, or do you have hobbies together that you guys? Obviously, golf's not one.
We play pool.
We play pool together. Jen is working on improving her piano skills, which have always been quite good. So occasionally I'll go in and sit down with her with my guitar and we'll play together, or I'll have a bit of a sing. In fact, I'm hoping to. I've started getting into country music, Cam, and I'm writing some songs at the moment. And Jen and I are hoping to, dotage, just go puddling around festivals and things, doing a bit of bar stool work and
Bit of singing.
bit of that. So
As a duo.
yeah,
You guys rock.
that'd be very cool. Don't know if it can happen, but we'll see how we go. It's
Well, we were planning a tour in the UK about Al's character, Dr. Carl, because there's so many Neighbours fans in the UK.
Yeah.
And just 1 week before the pandemic really hit in Australia last year, Al was due to fly out, and then that all got cancelled.
yeah.
So we're hoping one day down the track, we might be able to do that as well.
We did one show. Jen interviews me in the show, and we have a lovely bounce off each other and a lot of fun, and it was very well received. So I'm quite
It sounded
confident
quite
that we
wrong
can
to bounce
eventually.
off each other.
I'm seeing it, you guys. I'm absolutely seeing this because Jackie Trent and Tony Hatch wrote the Neighbours theme. So you guys could do the Neighbours theme, do a country version of that.
Yep.
Oh, Cam.
Are you kidding me? You guys getting up, tell some Dr. Carl stories.
It was a funny show. It went down a treat on the night. We loved it. It was great fun.
Yeah.
Are you both singers? Because Jen, your speaking voice is so gorgeous.
Oh, you're very kind. Fletch is a brilliant singer. If I'm with a few friends, we're having a go at karaoke, then I always grab the mic. I'm an enthusiastic singer rather than a talented one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jen is a good singer, but as I say, she generally the times she does sing is when she's just having too good a time.
Yeah.
But
I've sung at a few of those Starry Night charity balls
which have been
just for fun.
exceptional.
Oh, good on you.
Although, do you know what? There was one radio presenter at the last one. It used to be back in the day, just get up and give it a crack. And people loved it if you did make a bit of a fool of yourself because it was funny and you were doing it for charity. So in the early days, anyone would get up. These days, it's a bit more professional. So the last performance I gave,
I think I know who you're talking about, by the way.
I came off stage and this radio presenter said to me, "That was very brave, Jennifer."
That's not the comment you
mean.
want. That's not who I was thinking might have
The
said
comment I always get is, "Stop singing, you're ruining this song."
Who says that?
Oh, the kids have always said that. They're like, "Mum, don't. Just don't."
Oh, sure, yeah. Our kids won't. Veronica
Yeah.
will run out of the room if either of us start to sing.
Yeah, I'm tone deaf.
But I sung at the Melbourne Carols by Candlelight one year, and I totally butchered a Johnny Mathis hymn, And I came home and I walked through the door, and my dad's just gone, "That was a really hard song, wasn't it?"
That's just as bad as my "You Were Brave, Jennifer."
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Crushing.
underlining.
Yeah.
Small print.
How do you
Okay.
guys deal with conflict in your relationship? You clearly don't seem to have in this. You get along well, but what about day to day? Anything that comes up with conflict? Do you guys have any sort of rules that you live by in your relationship?
It's kind of evolved, really. I mean, you find your way, you find your path. I think that there was obviously every relationship's going to go through periods where you just rubbing up against each other in the wrong way, emotionally and so forth. And we found, obviously sometimes you need to actually go and talk to people about it, and that's every couple should do that if the necessity arises. But what I found for myself was that there was nothing I could do in life, and no achievement I could make that would be better than being married to Jen. So I felt that, there was a time when I was actually putting ambition ahead of my relationship, doing the things I wanted to do and only thinking about myself. And now, we've sort of evolved into a situation where we are each other's priority, and then everything else that could happen is a bonus outside of that. Because the worst thing, I think everybody who's ever had it, is even if you're having a successful time, if you know that your partner's not happy, then it just eats away at you. It robs you of any success. So we make each other the priority, really, is the go.
How did you come to that understanding, Alan, that it was you had the priorities more on work? Yeah,
well, obviously we talked about it, and that thing about.
I think I made my opinion pretty.
I was going to say,
there was no. She wasn't shy in coming forward. I think the point kind of came where I thought, why are we arguing about this? Because really, the fact of the matter is, Jen and I have always been very deeply in love with each other. We kind of can't shake each other off. It could never happen. And so I just think there, why are we doing this? Why are we having unhappiness? Because what's being achieved isn't kind of that great anyway.
Sometimes also other people, I think, come into your lives and can be a negative influence, and that can cause disruptions. And back in the early days, maybe there were some jealousies that were unnecessary. I think you have to lay the ground rules. For instance, if you're texting or writing emails or text messages with people of the opposite sex, and be aware that they might have a different perception of what you're saying. Like, I think Fletch is, in a sweet way, perhaps a bit naive about women who might be wanting more from him. And so back in the early day, I'd see someone, making a beeline for him, and I'd be like, whoa, honey, what about that one? And he's like, oh, really? No, I didn't get that. And I'm like, yeah.
And we know, don't we? We know.
Yeah. And so then I'd see a text message from him to somebody, and he'd put, all my love, Fletch. I go, you can't write that.
Yeah.
You can't.
Actors are actors, aren't they, Cameron? You know what it's like.
No.
Hey, don't bring me into this, pal.
You just got to set the ground rules. No love and kisses unless they're a very close friend.
Yeah. One of my questions was actually, as an actor's wife, do you ever mind the intimacy that Alan sometimes needs to create with other women on screen?
It was only a problem with one actress because there were some rumours publicly, which I didn't think were a problem, but then there was another person who was a troublemaker who started telling me these rumours were true, and so that upset me at the time. And then I found out she was just apparently stirring and saying something as a joke, which wasn't funny at all. When people do those things where they think they're being funny but it's not, it really upsets you.
Not good.
I mean, in general, it's interesting. I was thinking about this the other day about how because compliance training at workplaces now is very strict.
Right.
And we all go through that, and we all know that the kind of the most important thing in when people are taking offence is not you saying, well, what I said wasn't offensive. What's important is that they have taken offence.
Yeah.
And so you've got to go, okay, I'm really sorry that you took offence to that. I apologise, and I'll make sure I don't do it again. And it's kind of the same thing in a marriage. You've got to sit there and say, look, I don't think you should be offended or upset or angry because I don't think I've done anything to justify it. But the fact that you are angry and upset, I will completely factor that in and make adjustments because I mean, there's no winning here. Being right in marriage is generally not always going to be the thing that's going to bring you happiness. It's more to be, so just respecting each other.
Good way to end an argument, though, is to use that line, you're absolutely right, and you just smile and walk away.
Depends on which tone we're using.
Yeah.
Guys, we do a segment called the 2-minute shower where we keep our answers quick. We conserve water. That's the whole idea.
Yeah.
Got a few questions we'd like to throw at you.
Oh, this sounds dangerous.
If you can both answer.
Sure.
You go first, honey.
Okay, sure. What do people get wrong about you?
Gee, I don't know. I think when I was on TV, they'd say, "Oh, you're a lot thinner in real life."
because it adds weight.
Yeah,
doesn't it, too?
yeah.
I think a lot of people think that I'm a very social person and very sort of like ebullient and outgoing, but in fact I'm quite reclusive and fairly shy.
What's your best quality?
My best quality is loving my wife.
Oh,
That's beautiful. Best quality, positive attitude.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
what's your partner's best quality?
With Jen, she makes me laugh. She basically brings joy into my life.
For Fletch, all round, everything.
You can't follow that, can you?
No, that was very good. That was really good. Best quality, I think, empathy for other people.
Yeah.
Who do you admire?
Oh, well, I actually admire Jen's mother and her husband because they are the epitome of what the ideal kind of family is, in the sense that they're both quite Christian people, and that informs their choices about how they deal with the world. So they're quite selfless. And when our kids were young, it was Elizabeth who basically made sure that Jen and I had time for ourselves, and she helped look after the kids and things. And
Had them every Friday night for a sleepover.
yeah, and I just admire the way that they've conducted themselves in life, modestly, but with. I think that's not a very quick fire answer, is it?
That's
No,
all
it
right.
was very long.
It's a lovely answer, though.
Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
take it. How about you, Jen?
Me. Okay. Well, I'm going to go the other way. He's gone for something worthy. I'm going to talk about all the musicians and artists and performers that I love. So I'd go for, Elton John and Queen and actors like Anthony Hopkins and Meryl Streep. They're all the people I admire. They're really, really super talented ones.
Great. Is there a song that you put on to calm you down?
Actually, to be honest with you, I love honky tonk country, and Dwight Yoakam is just sensational.
Yeah.
So if I kind of need to just relax, chill, I'll actually put on a really upbeat song like Honky Tonk Man,
Yep.
and sing along to it.
Yeah.
And at the end of that song, you couldn't be worried about anything.
I'd go for Hallelujah.
Whose version?
Maybe, Katie Lang.
Katie Lang,
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. What's your favourite catchphrase?
don't worry, be happy.
Yeah.
Do I have one, Fletch? Can you think of what I say?
That's you're more the sort of don't worry, be happy.
Yeah,
isn't it?
onwards and upwards.
Onwards and upwards.
Onwards
Yeah.
and upwards.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep.
What's your biggest pet peeve?
People who don't take off at traffic lights fast enough. The number of times I'm having to toot the horn now because everybody's looking down at the phone in there.
No, my pet peeve is all people who look at their phones in the middle of a live theatrical performance.
Oh, yeah.
Or
Yeah.
talk during it. Yeah.
All right, final question. Your partner in one word.
Delightful.
Perfect.
Oh. Okay. That's awesome.
You guys, thank you so much for joining us in the bathroom.
Pleasure.
It's been a great fun, enormous
It
fun.
has. Thanks for having us.
And we're very similar, the four of
Wow,
us.
we
I
have,
gotta
to
say.
we have to have a dinner when we're allowed to cross the border.
Absolutely. We can talk about country music and all sorts of
Yeah, I'm bringing my Essendon footy jumper,
Beautiful.
guitar, and my golf clubs,
stuff. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay, Jen and I
Look
will do
forward to
something
it.
else.
and a bottle
we'll
of red.
go shopping.
Oh,
That nice
yeah.
bottle of red.
Yes, I'm a red man, Shiraz, of course.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Fantastic, guys. Thank you so much for your time today.
Jen
Thank
Hansen,
you.
Alan Fletcher, thank you guys.
Thank you. Loved it. Cheers, guys.
Well, that was the delightful and perfect Jen and Alan. We had a lot in common. We didn't realise. My gosh.
Oh, footy.
Oh.
Bombers.
Golf.
Red wine, though we did
Dislike
talk
of
about
golf.
that. Dislike of golf.
Yeah. That's always good to find someone out there.
It's just it's great to hear other people's views and how they go through stuff.
What I love too is when, we hear a lot about, create the date night. That's what you need to do for long-term relationships. And we know that is meant to work. And then hearing a couple that they do it and it works. And that's really important because without the action, you can say that's what you need to do, but without the actual action of doing it, it's just words. But here's a couple that are doing it and they love it. And it's clearly a bit of a glue for them. So Good on him. Yes.
I'm looking at you like, because we need to do it. We don't do
say
it.
that all the time.
I know. So we're who you were just describing.
Absolutely.
We've just got to do it.
I know. Well,
We'll make a blog.
I'm only going to shake
Why are
on
you
it.
balking?
Well, I'm balking because we've talked about this so many times, and I've said let's do this, and every time you've gone, I can't do it. I've got something else to do. I'm busy that day, or so.
True.
That's where I start to feel the giving up of the actual.
Okay, so what he said, what Fletch just said, was what's more important at this that he's discovered.
Yeah.
Is what's more important in his life. That work's not more important than the relationship. What's more important than the relationship? Nothing. So
And everything comes from that.
Yes, everything draws from that. So I'm saying to you now, I've made other things important.
Right.
That would have stopped our 2-hour, once a week date night.
Okay.
So I'm saying to you right now that I am going to make sure that I commit to 2 hours. And it doesn't matter, even if it's editing this podcast. I'm going to stop editing the podcast to do a 2-hour thing with you.
Okay.
You don't believe me, do you? I'm going to have to back it up with action.
Okay.
It's true. Because we're in our, what are we? This is our 30th year of marriage. December 7, we tick over 30 years.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Correct.
So it's time for me to either shit or get off the pot. I can't say that. I don't want to put a bleep over that.
But you don't edit.
Ding.
But you don't edit the podcast either.
Well, I used to.
But you don't anymore, so you
Well,
can't
I can.
say that.
I can. I can make up a little
Everything
editing.
about honesty. You can't make that up. Not when the editor's sitting in the room. I'm like, you can't say that.
But I did used to. I edited the first 50 odd
It
episodes.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You don't edit them anymore.
Okay, I was just throwing it up as an example, honey. This is all going on, by the way.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Amy's going to edit.
No, she's not. It's because it's important. This is why we're here, is to have proper conversations.
What, me calling you out on your lies?
Yeah, I'm not. Thanks for being here for this frank and honest discussion
God.
for separate bathrooms. We were talking with Jen Hansen and Alan Fletcher, and
We're
then
a
we took
fabulous
over.
couple who do a date night every week. And they're an inspiration
They
to those
are.
who don't.
And they've inspired me because we don't. And
Yes.
I think we will from this point
Okay, I love it.
going forward.
Great.
Okay, hit us up on the socials. I'm drawing a line in the sand now.
Yeah, you have.
I'm at Cameron Daddo. Ali, you're at.
Beattie-Daddo.
And the Separate Bathrooms Facebook page. I feel all energised and fired up now.
Okay,
Yeah, this is good.
great.
Okay, we'll see you. Well, we won't see you, but we'll be here for the next one next week. Hope you are too.
Thanks so much. Thanks for listening.